Welcome again to part 2 of the swing analysis of a student of mine, Chen Guo Shu. This gentleman, as I said in the previous video, is around the mid to late 60s, has been playing golf for just a few years, has had some few lessons from me already. This was his first lesson and an analysis that we did in his first lesson. You'll notice on the left his legs are a little bit too straight for my liking. His upper body is a little bit too tall, his legs a little straight, his arms are under his chest, the club shaft sits right here. First thing I'd suggest to this customer is he get a bit more angle through his body, get this a little lower, get a little bit more flex in his knees. On the right we have PGA Tour player Ben Crane as a comparison. You'll see there's a little more forward lean in the body, a little more flex in the knees. The setup position needs to be athletic and get yourself ready to begin the golf swing. A lot of people don't think of the golf swing as being very athletic because it doesn't last for very long, but that's not true. The best golf swings are very athletic, they're very sporty and they're very strong. So you've got to set yourself up in the right position to create that golf swing. Let's take a look at his initial takeaway, what he does with the club. You can see he sort of lifts his hands up from the original red shaft line that they were on. He rolls the club face a little bit open in the takeaway. As we mentioned in the face-on video, he's very overactive with his hands in his backswing. So that's why he's lifting his hands up, and also why he's rotating the face open during the backswing. So he's kind of moved his hands from the original shaft plane line out to the shoulder plane line, and the face here is pretty open. You'll see here with Ben, a swing that requires less use of his hands in the backswing, more of just a one-piece turn of the body. This is a position here that I really strive to get a lot of my students into. Club head just slightly above the original shaft plane. The face angle here nice and square, pretty close to square to the original shaft plane line. You see as this student goes a little further into his backswing, he's hinging his club up very quickly. This is a very narrow position and also quite an upright position. He lifts the club up very abruptly. And at this point I think it's worth noting what he's done with his head, how his head has moved both away from the ball and also away from the ground. So he's moved up and back as he's made his backswing. Okay, so you see the kind of lifting action of the arms there to complete the backswing. More than I'd like him to lift the arms up like that, not so ideal. You see obviously with Ben the arms do work up, but they work up as a result of the body rotating and the arms elevate the club up to the top here. Really worth noting that how Ben's head has stayed pretty much in the same position at address. Not everyone does that. A lot of good players' heads will lower during their golf swing, but you don't generally see good players' heads move away from the ball and move up away from the ground. And this student here is into his transition move to start his downswing with left. Notice the lower body here, the legs and the hips are very inactive. This is very much an upper body dominated downswing, which is a very, very common problem. If you watch some of my other students' swing analysis, you'll see this is a very common fault with the shoulders, arms, perhaps the hands initiating the downswing, and the lower body is just quite inactive. See the club shaft is also pretty upright. You'll notice with Ben as he gets towards the top of the backswing, look at the lower body kind of compress down and sort of rotate out of the way. Look at the head lowering down here. You'll see Ben's head's moved a little bit away from the ball now and also towards the ground. This is not as uncommon as you might think. A lot of good players are doing that. He's maintaining the depth in his pelvis. He's not moving towards the golf ball. He's rotating and pushing into his left side nicely into impact, where you'll see the student on the left is Very inactive with his body. He hasn't rotated anywhere near enough. He hasn't pushed into his left side anywhere near enough. His chest is very square onto the target, as are his hips. His body has become very upright. He's moved in towards the ball. His posture is very upright through here, and more evidence there of the flipping of the hands, the club shaft and the club head flipping over to the left there. So quite a number of problems here. So initially we've worked on his setup, getting a better posture, trying to work on his initial takeaway, less use of the hands, more use of the body, creating more width in the backswing, trying to complete the backswing with a better turn of his body, not rotating the face open. He rotates the face open here because he overuses his hands and wrists in the backswing. Okay. Trying to get him into more of a transition from the ground up, where he's using the ground to initiate his downswing. This golf swing here is really an upper body dominated downswing, and a very obvious flipping of the hands through the golf ball. And a lot of the reason for the overactive hands is due to the fact he's got an underactive body. You'll see with a player of Ben Crane's ability, with a more active body, he's got less active hands. So he's really releasing his club through the ball with his body and his arms. Well, this one is really just the hands and wrists. The body is very inactive. So there we go. One of my older students, one who's very keen to improve and get better, comes for lessons on a regular basis, and we've made some progress and he's enjoying himself. Okay, thank you.